The SG Child Show is back for its 13th season. Join Sarah Bradford and the SG Child Show team as they explore the world of autism and share stories of hope and inspiration. This season, we're excited to bring you more autism summits featuring experts and advocates from around the world. Go to sgchilds.org.
In the heart of the city, she's shining bright. Oh yeah. Stories of love and courage all throughout the night.
Hi, we are back. Isn't that just a cute little song to get us going? And as I was telling you, the rest of the song is at the end of the episodes, as all of my listeners have found out. And I hope everyone's enjoying it. I've never actually talked about it, so that's kind of funny. I'm going to give you a little piece into what the song is. My husband just downloaded one of those AI music apps once, and he was actually using it. He's not going to listen to this episode, so I'm going to go ahead and share this information. He was using it to make these songs. And while he was making all of these songs, he was actually going through quite a lot of stuff. And he would make these songs, and they were helping him to go through some of his like childhood experiences that he had like trauma from. And he like wrote these songs, and then it was like it helped him to, kind of release and let go of some of these things. So I thought that was just really fascinating, and what a brilliant way to move through your emotions. And so just to share that little side note. So he made this song for me, and it is, when I heard it, I just couldn't believe how much it tied all of me together in one song, number one, but how much it really talked about the mission and my passion and the reason I am doing SJ Childs as an author, as a podcaster, the reason I want to build these communities. So I'm excited today to bring my guest with me here with us together today. Oh my gosh, if I could talk. I am excited to introduce Lisa. Lisa Richer has been, we've been in touch for several years now, it feels like, and she's been in some summits, and one or two, it feels like you've been in two of them. And I'm so excited to always bring, the best resources, the best people to the front that I can, and excited to introduce you to her today. So thank you so much for being here today, Lisa, and give us a little bit of introduction to yourself and what brought you here today.
Absolutely. So I'll start with the bookend here of what brought me here, you and that connection. You're right. It has been a couple of years, and I just did do my second summit with you. The first one, I had done a presentation on my Ripe Ideas framework, where the I's are lowercase, implement inclusivity, because that brings together all of the letters that come along with DEI and all of that. And then the second one, I was that panel member, which was so much fun when you brought together all of us as experts and just learn and grow with and alongside of one another. So that was super fun. So that's what brought me here. And then I think I had reached out to you a few weeks ago because we've talked off and on about me being on the show. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'd like to do that. It's time. Yeah. And so graciously said, sure, let's do it. I guess, really what brought me to the work I do at Join the Blue and who I am, growing up undiagnosed neurodivergent, getting diagnosed with anxiety in my early 20s, but not really realizing it was on the umbrella, under the neurodiversity umbrella, getting diagnosed just a few years ago, ADHD in the midst of burnout, where I felt like I was demolished to ashes, and trying to come through all of that and unpack my own things. So as you're talking about your husband, I just started thinking about how journaling and doodling and walking and therapy has really helped me unpack years and years of things that I had to then unbecome to really come back to who I am as a person. But my world related to autism started the day I became a mom, because my oldest son, while not appropriately diagnosed till 4.5. So it always drives me nuts when I see things in school systems that say, were they diagnosed by the age of 3? Well, just like any other diagnosis, you don't show up as a single type of autism, right? It's if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, right? And so the evolution and the just transformation that it took to get my son diagnosed, that started my journey into neurodiversity consulting without realizing it. But I was advocating for him for many, many years. He's now off as a freshman in college, doing amazing things. Physics major in Maryland, College Park. And so just doing great. And then my younger one, ADHD, anxiety, and we just got him reassessed. So 8 different academic diagnostic things and not just academic impact, but life impact. So that's a little bit of kind of weaving of me and how I became who I am. I was also an elite level athlete. So I was an elite level athlete, undiagnosed visual processing disorder. And so when you're running towards the vault or trying to do a mount or a dismount, the end of the beam kept moving and I didn't realize what was going on. I thought it was just me, and come to learn I wasn't crazy after all. It was all how my brain worked. So it's just crazy full circle, right? With family and things like that. And then you and I connected and here we are.
Here we are. I love that. And I love how you can get this perspective when you can step back for a moment or when you get the diagnosis. I think that's almost the step back. That's like the big clear picture is that you're looking at a micro, macro, super focused like dot. And then you're like, I don't understand. It's a dot. And they're like, nope, it's a whole picture. You just got to back out and look at the whole picture. But they don't tell us that. And I was just like, my brain was just, thinking about all these things when you were talking. And I realized that in that 2 things, that diagnosis process is so, it's so emotional in different ways. When you are having your child diagnosed, like you said, you were like, oh, I could have gotten it done before. And for me, I was like, what do you mean my kid's 14 months and he's autistic? Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I was mad at the doctor for telling me that. I just didn't understand like what he's reading. He's like smarter than all of the other, it's just like this thing I didn't understand. And it's so individual. It's so individual how you react, how you embrace the information, how you go to get the information. It's all such an individual journey. And I think it's so important that we see each other's perspectives and talk about these things, because people might not understand that part. They might think, oh, like Sarah always knew her son was autistic and they got the diagnosis and it was this, blah, blah, blah. No, like I didn't know. I had no information. I didn't know anything about autism. I was so mad at that doctor. I went in and told him I was mad at him years later. I told him that I had like held these angry feelings towards him, that I had totally forgiven him. And I was thankful for him now. But it was this like, I went through this like cycle with the information. It was really interesting.
It's so, and I have to take notes so that I can retain things. So like, talking about things that we've learned over the years, and I'm going to come back to learning about my son's diagnosis and the importance of finding a team of people and letting go of the shame and the guilt and all that. Right. And so you're absolutely right. It's all over the place. And, like for me, when I got diagnosed, ADHD, I never really wanted to get diagnosed. Like I didn't really care. I was like, yeah, it's fine. But then I realized that when I talk to people and I say, when you get a diagnosis, that label is only there to help inform, to validate and inform, not define who you are, how you move through things and what happens next. And I'm a true believer in that, which is why give me more information, the more information, the better. So for me, the more I learned about each of my kids, the more I was like, okay, now what? What's next? Who do I bring in as my team? And so it is an individual journey, not just for the parents, but the children as well. For me, I dove head first. Like, who's my team? Who's going to help me? Who's not going to help me? I have to let go of the noise of those that were saying, oh, he's just going to grow out of it, or he's just going to do this. Some family members, I had to separate from them for a while. My husband was blaming himself, didn't know what to do about it. So there's all these different things that happen in different people's minds. I was really, really lucky, I would say, to have our first pediatrician, because my older son, the one that's diagnosed autistic, within a couple of days, like, he wouldn't nurse. And being first time parents, it was like, I was getting the pressure from the lactation consultants and my husband and my mother-in-law, like, just do this, do this, do this. I'm like, it's not working. Well, none of us knew any better. So you keep going. Well, we went to the doctor a couple of days in, because you see him right in the hospital and you go back a couple of days later, and she's like, he's starving, get him something to eat. And I'm like, well, my husband and I are like, the lactation consultant said we have to, just keep trying to get him to latch on. Well, the second one, he latched on like that. So at that point, my husband was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, because the experts were telling us. Yeah. So I say this because sometimes the experts don't know all of it. And it's because they're an expert, that's one perspective. And so as you were talking about, you're talking about, the diagnoses inform. And then when we give ourselves the ability to step back. So while I'm a neurodiversity consultant and I've labeled myself that, I'll go there at the beginning of at 6 months into my burnout journey of getting through recovery, because special education advocate, it would be like, oh, special education, oh, you're an advocate, oh, you're in a box, or whatever color, whatever description. And I'm like, no, I'm all of this. Like, I'm this whole thing. And I have a background in HR and leadership development. And I've got my parent behavioral training certification, because I had to get it in California in order to get my older son behavioral services. So when I think about the people that came into my life, we moved to California, where behavioral services were embedded in regional programs and they had partnerships. Whereas in Maryland, when we came back here 40 years later, they were just starting to pop up. Yeah. So you were put, when you step back as a parent, you go, okay, what was I put here for in this place and time? And while I was falling apart at the seams and leading to burnout, my kid was doing great, because I put all my energy into, what did that first doctor say? And that very first doctor, back to that, said, if your gut is telling you it's right as a mom, it's right. So while people had beat me down all those years, like telling me I was wrong for the way I thought, this doctor, I had just become a mom. Your mom gut, trust it. You are spot on. The child needed to eat. The child needed this. So my very first week of being a mom, just really grounded me in, get the services, go to infants and toddlers. So when he was 18 months and he was struggling to communicate, and he was hand flapping and toe walking, and even then he got assessed and they said he has a speech delay. He was a toe walker and a hand flapper.
Yeah.
And all kinds of sensory dysregulation. And yet he only had a speech delay, right? So it wasn't until a year and a half later that we really figured it out, with the help of another, a psychologist, a behavioral psychologist, a preschool teacher that was a psychologist before she became a preschool teacher. And then some of that story I shared with you before we came on, all of those people, and then an OT, and then a behavioralist, they became my team. And after having my business since 18, it's 2025, so it's never too late, I finally created a one-pager that I haven't even pushed out yet, but that talks about, what do you need to think about when creating your team? Can you afford not to afford having that team? We don't know what we don't know. And my greatest gift to others is uncovering the unknown unknowns. I feel like people tell me that's like my zone of genius, is uncovering the unknown unknowns, because I always think in non sequitur. But bringing that all together, and it's okay that you were like, what are you telling me about my child? And I'm mad at you, because feeling those feelings, just like you were saying with your husband, going back to the song, right? We can't move through it until we put that moose on the table. Putting the elephant in the room and naming it and taming it, it doesn't mean anything if you don't move through it.
Yeah.
So, it's my soapbox on that.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I couldn't agree with you more, because when I also went and got my, diagnosis at 45, it was like kind of like you had said, I went to go more or less to say, I do fit in with this family, right? This whole family of mine is autistic. Like, where do I belong here? Like, am I what community? I'm building all, these things, but where do I actually belong in any of them? And like for me personally. And it was definitely like my husband would tease me, here's your autism card. Here, you can hold this autism card, so you have autism for a while. And it was just, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to anyone, of course, or anything, but it was just he knew that I didn't feel like I belonged still, and he didn't like to see that. And so when I went and finally got it all done, like at first I was like, oh my gosh, before I went in and I thought, okay, if I get these, this findings, then I'm going to just share it with everyone. I'm going to jump on a live and everybody's going to know. So I went and had it done and got, the information, brought it back home, ADHD, autism, a little bit of dyslexia, OCD, depression. I was just like, and it's like, it took me 5 months at least to come to terms with all of the things, realize that, put them in the right places, like you had said, like legitimize or, let that information, okay, that's what this meant at this time in my life when I went through this, and that makes sense. This means, oh, that makes sense, and it just really helped to legitimize, I guess, all of these things that people had called other things, right?
Well, and validate, like
all of these other things.
I became so validated, and I wasn't sure, and I never really screamed it from the rooftops at all, and it was just more of and it probably was a combination because I was in therapy, and that person, we had talked about ADHD one day, and she's like, oh, I diagnosed you with that a year ago. And I was like, what? Like my face like literally looked like that. And she bust out laughing, and she's become like a confidant and a business advisor for me, not just my therapist. Like she's amazing. And she came to me at the right time, and she had an opening and all that. But she's like, yeah, you weren't ready to hear it because you were so far into burnout. And like, literally, I felt like I was rising from the ashes. But it was when my younger son got diagnosed with visual processing disorder, and we were going to do a home program. They had me doing the home program, and his vision therapist looked at me and she goes, you did say you were an elite level gymnast, right? I'm like, yes. She's like, how did you do that? How did you compete like internationally for the US? Your depth perception in your peripheral is so messed up. You could have used vision therapy. And I go, what do you mean? She said, well, as you were like running towards the ball, like I'm using this as like me running, did the board look like it was getting closer? And as you were trying to do a dismount on beam, did the beam move? So like, and I always had problems with mounts and dismounts. I was great on uneven bars after my mount, and I was great on floor. And now I know why, because nothing else was moving. And I always say like me being in motion. And she's like, okay, you weren't going crazy. Like literally, that's how your eyes. She's like, I don't know how you did it. She's like, you must have just literally off the charts, just found ways to accommodate all your disabilities. Like, and it was crazy. And I was like, wow, I guess I was even better than, that I went through. Oh, but I could have been so much better if I had known. Even though I'm like, ooh, it's validating, I also went down all those different paths. But when I got diagnosed with ADHD, something shifted in me. Like, all those times people told me that I was doing it wrong, or I didn't get it. And, or, just that was wrong, or I don't understand you, or that doesn't make sense. I was like, makes sense for me. It made sense for my brain. They were uncomfortable. They didn't get it. And so now it's like, if it comes up, I talk about it. But what it really did for me was just shift my narrative for all my conversations. I no longer question what's about to come out of my mouth, because I know that it's right for my neurotype and it's right for how I perceive the world. And people will either be curious and lean in and ask, or they don't belong in my life. And I know some people feel like that's like harsh, but the people that are meant to be in my world I have the capacity for. They lift me up, they fill my cup, they bring me energy. And the ones that I don't are the ones that drain me. And I no longer try to fit in a box that doesn't lift me up.
Absolutely. And you have to do that. You have to do that self-preservation, if you will. And teaching your kids how to do that, that's a great skill for them to learn, to realize that when you move through life, there will be people that will come and go, and that, they won't always be the best of intentions, and sometimes they will, and you'll keep them. But yeah, be very picky and always trust that gut. And I think that that's such an important lesson. And it's interesting because obviously you have to, much as you individualize, getting a diagnosis, you have to individualize the teaching of your children as well. Everything is so niche. And so, yeah, it's interesting how you have two, you understand how you can see just completely different aspects of humanics in general, just in both of them. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to just learn more about how, their mind works, how your mind works, how you work together. But through this process, it has led you to be able to create some resources and a business for others. So let's talk about Journey to Bloom.
So yeah, I in creating Journey to Bloom, it started out as Bloom Special Education Advocacy. That's what it's like under my LLC, but I do business as Journey to Bloom. Like I've gotten the trade name and do that. And the thread through of all of it is it was launched because of my journey to Bloom. And Bloom came from my great aunt. She and I were, what, I don't even know if you can say this anymore, the black sheep of the family. It's what we used to call it. And so forgive me if I shouldn't have said that, but she and I were very much the outliers. She was my favorite great aunt, loved all my family members, but she and I were just like two peas in a pod. And so her married last name was Bloom. And I just wanted to do a tribute to her because I wouldn't have that piece of me so alive if it hadn't been for me seeing her model that forever. And then doing what I do is that thread through of my kids as they got older, realizing it's okay to be who they are and everyone's not for them and they're not for everyone. And I say my greatest accomplishment as a parent with all the screw ups is that they truly are authentically themselves. They trust their gut. They share from their heart. They speak the truth. And yeah, they'll fall down, but they know that they have a safe space to get back up. And they're not taking the 30 years that I took to unbecome everything that society wanted me to be, to become who I am today. So that's, at the center of Journey to Bloom. And with Journey to Bloom, I help simplify the neurodiverse learning journey for parents and educators, for professionals, and for organizations. And it's really about the three pillars. So with parents, parents hire me. I work in collaboration with the schools, but really for the child to help figure out what they know, what they don't know, what they don't know, they don't know about their journey. Like what team, do they need me in an IEP meeting? Do they really just need me as a parent advisor and a mentor to help them understand that it's okay to feel judged or shame or all the things that you were feeling, Sarah, when you first, and I was on the opposite end, like, let's go. I'm like a bulldozer. But I wasn't letting myself feel those feelings. So there's a balance. So I help parents navigate the journey, but a lot of times they'll go, gosh, you're better than my therapist. I didn't even know I needed you. And I hold space for people, to go through it. And then professionals, oftentimes professionals that come to me to work with me, they're looking to make a career change because I have years of HR and leadership and recruiting and staffing, and I don't do any of that stuff anymore. But what I do is a thread through of the training, development, mentorship, and guiding, and helping executives and leaders realize This has nothing to do with your capability or the job you have to now shift into because you've always been in this industry. It's about what you do or don't believe inside and what you need to unbecome or what limiting beliefs you need to strip away to realize you are worthy and you are just as qualified and capable, if not more, than some of these other people. And a lot of them are very data driven, I'm very qualitative, and they're very quantitative. And so they're also typically, I'd say 90% of the time, neurodivergent themselves, probably undiagnosed, or they know it, but they're still a very linear thinker. So I help them learn how to think this way so that they can get out of their own way and, and accomplish what they want. And the third thing is working with organizations. And in doing that, the majority of what I do right now is work through a company who works with employee assistance programs, and they end up hiring me to do webinars. And people can come to me to do those anywhere. Like I would do webinars and focus groups and quarterly, trainings and all of that. I'm threading through my Ripe Ideas framework of reflect, implement, practice, evaluate. But I'll do that as it relates to understanding neurodiversity and then understanding how to lead and engage across neurotypes. And then another one that is typically highly sought after is authenticity and the art of relationship building. And that goes back to that who I am as I'm grounded, and how I'm becoming the things that society told me I should be, and just coming back in and really truly trusting my gut has allowed me to take what everyone told me for many years, oh, you can't do that. Why would you want to do that? And create a solopreneur business out of it. Am I making hundreds, thousands of dollars like I did in corporate? No, but the gift I'm giving to others to pay it forward. Now, I would take that. So if anybody wants to collaborate with me, there's somebody that's launching a business, they want me as a consultant, I'm happy to do it because I bring forward as a parent, as an individual, as a person who lived in leadership roles in corporate and was made to feel less than, gaslit and all that. And now as an expert, some people call me a trailblazer, which I think is super sweet and kind, because I've been talking about this stuff for so many years and now people are finally catching up to me. So if any of this resonates, I can help you. And it's because it's all under the neurodiversity umbrella, and it threads together all the different things that I've done as a parent, educator, professional, and individual. So that's Journey to Bloom in a nutshell, and how all that.
Lucky for everyone that gets to be a part of it is what it is. I want to put the website up. Journey to Bloom is, if those of you who are listening, it's Journey, the number 2 Bloom, and that's a .com. Also, please go follow Journey to Bloom on IG and on Facebook and on LinkedIn. It is Lisa Lazar Richer. And I'll have all of that stuff in the show notes so you guys can find that information. That has been a wonderful opportunity and resources for people. So please, take advantage of those if you can. And let's talk about another project that you've been working on too, so that we can give everybody the great information about that so that they know what they need to do next. Let's put our call to action out there, right?
Absolutely. So I was asked to be part of a book collaborative. And one of my goals for this year was to write a book. It's been a goal of mine since I was like 5 years old, but I wasn't getting there. But I realized, and this is coming full circle for me, instead of being like, I have to be all in, that this is the first step in me understanding what it takes to put a book together and to actually write a full book. So I was asked to write a chapter. I was asked along with, I think, like 15 or 18 other women who have been through something that really has led to moving into their life's purpose. That's what I like to call it. And just really helping others help themselves through whatever that is. And so I am getting to do this book collaborative that Julie DeLuca Collins, I forgive me, Julie, if I just butchered your name, is leading the way on. And the book is going to be called Confident You, Raw Conversations. And there it is. And it launches, I think I said November 25th is our expected launch date. So I know this will be coming out around that time. And it's a collective of each of us. And it's just a chapter into our stories and what we do and how we help others. And, women and men alike, a lot of our stories are focused on women. For me, it's people. And so my journey and what I talk about there, and I talk through a little bit about, two of my clients. One is a male executive, and the other one is a mom who no one believed her and what she thought her child was capable of. And we just bonded over it because I was told my son would never become anything, my oldest, and now he's in the highest honors programming at University of Maryland. So,
Wow.
everyone's not going to get there, but that's a little bit about my story. And I really encourage people to come in and take a listen to it, look at it, read it when it does launch. Every single person is inspiring to me when we have weekly check-ins. The person who's leading it is super inspiring. So I just really encourage people to read it, male or female or any gender, whatever you, however you identify, and then also gift it to people because everyone can benefit from learning about some of these stories.
Yeah, absolutely. You really learn a lot from anecdotal stories of experiences from others. And kind of like the old saying when you were a kid in school, if everyone raises their hand, somebody's going to ask a question that nobody else thought of that everybody's still going to be interested in knowing the answer to. And I love that,
I always say the only questions that are bad ones are the ones you don't ask. Because
Yeah,
if you're thinking it, someone else will. So absolutely.
I just love that. I love to be curious and explore those types of things. Before we go, I also want to talk about a group and organization also that you are part of. So let's talk about by, with, and for autistic adults and how you can be a part of it if you are interested. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it was founded a couple of years ago. It has had a name shift as well. And I initially got involved because the CEO knew a bit about my journey. He was one of my executive clients, and then knew about my journey with my kids and knew that autism was something dear to my heart. So last year I was asked to be the chair of the board. So I am the chair of the board. And over this last year, we've really just taken a step back to redefine how we put ourselves out there to help autistic adults. The demographic is really that initially was like 18 to 24 years old, because I'm sure you know this yourself. Once you get past like middle school, the wheels fall off the track. And even in middle school, there's not a lot from the social and the engagement and the confidence and the how do you put yourself out there and be who you're meant to be and just really step into your own. And so 18 to 24 is kind of like that sweet spot right now. We have a program, our signature program called Launch You. We've had several sessions of that, but we put them on pause just to also just kind of reframe and lift up and be able to share out even more how that's going to work. If in a nutshell, the best way to describe it is I used to do person-centered planning training. So if you take person-centered planning where you're looking at like, what does my life want to look like? How independent do I want to be? What does that look like? So we're looking at all autistic adults, whatever that goal is, and coming into like a cohort of no more than 6 to 8 people where you get to learn with one another, identify with self-advocacy, identify with the resilience and things that are important to you, create those goals, and then take them and launch you into those goals and where you want to go with them. And so that's the signature program. You can go on the website and look what's there. We're currently working, we got accepted by a university in Michigan to they chose us as a project to help us go and look at our site and really make sure that everything about it is appropriate, inclusive, and supportive for the autistic adult community. And so we're working through that piece of it as well. And then Launch You, we're going to relaunch it, if you will. And I think March of next year is when we're looking to relaunch it. And we're hoping that it just evolves then into having some Discord groups as well, where people can continue to land and expand. The goal was to make it be where you can have like brain dump and just really, mind mapping and engaging and just really be these focus groups long term, not just for the time of the sessions. And so we're looking to see how we can expand and evolve it. And honestly, I think I said this to you before we came on, have people like you and those that are in your sphere, maybe listening to this, that want to get involved in it and want to support it and want to share with us, what are we missing or what's not landing right? And how do we reach the autistic audience? Whether your goal is to be able to go to the grocery store on your own, and that's the goals that you're setting, or your goal is to be an executive in a mid-sized company, we want to be able to help each of you on your unique path, because we feel like there's a lot out there in pockets of autistic individuals. And personally, I feel like it's getting even more linear with ADHD versus autism. And I'll show one really quick snippet. When my son was diagnosed at 4.5, the person's boss who diagnosed him, he said to me, I just want you to know that when your child is diagnosed with autism, he definitely has ADD or ADHD, because now he's almost 19. So back then everything was, kind of separated. There's still when Asperger's was not on the spectrum. So like it was way back. But he said, because he's autistic, he has ADD or ADHD. I'm thinking it's more the ADD side of it. So essentially he was diagnosed ADHD when he was 4.5. And it was my understanding that anybody that's diagnosed autistic has a component of it. But if you're diagnosed ADHD, the inversion is not accurate. You don't always have autism, but if you're autistic, there's a component of it. And so I know this might not land well in some people, but to me, it doesn't matter which one. You're going to include you anyway, because you meet one autistic person, you meet one autistic person, you meet one ADHD person, you met one ADHD person. My youngest one and I are both ADHD, very different. What works for us is different as well. So, so that's it. We're trying to bring together every piece of autistic individuals, and each focus group might not work for everybody, but we're going to find a way to help the masses, because everyone deserves to live their best life. And the only way to do that is to be inclusive and have people like you supporting us in that effort.
Oh, I love that. And I'm so happy to do that. Yay. So let's wrap this up, listeners. Journey to Bloom. Please go and follow on Instagram and also LinkedIn and Facebook, Lisa Lazar Richer. It is Lisa Richer, Richer, for those of you who are listening. And also, please go check out, because this is going to be coming out on the 23rd of November. So in 2 days, go to Amazon, I'm assuming, possibly, and order and possibly even pre-order your book, Confident You, Raw Conversations, that Lisa has a chapter in. And also, it sounds like a wonderful plethora of other individuals who have lived through amazing experiences and come out with a successful story to be shared. So please definitely go do that. Also, if you are looking for some support and you are autistic and an adult, by, with, and for autisticadults.org. And also, please just reach out to Lisa directly at Journey to Bloom or at one of her social medias. Please go follow her, support her. And if you missed any of that and you need to reach out to me to get that information, you're welcome to do that too. So, it was so great to have you on and have this one-on-one time to just be me and you together to talk about this. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. It flew by. I can't believe it's over.
I know. I can't believe it either. Well, this has been great. And for those of you, like I said, please go check out the book that'll be coming out in just 2 days from the date of this episode releasing. So it's so excited for the book to come out for you. So excited for everything to come. Of course, there's always an invitation for you to join our summits. We love having you. And yeah, let us know if you anything else in the future so we can have you back on and talk about it again.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys soon.
In the heart of the city, she's shining bright. Oh yeah, stories of love and courage all throughout the night. Her voice resonating, an anthem for all through the trials and the trials. She answers the call, a mother and a fighter, breaking barriers in stride. With love as her guide, she'll never hide. She's changing the world for you with a heart that's fierce strong, empathy's a melody. In our journey we all belong. Followers gather like stars in the night, so bright. 44,000 voices sharing in the light. She stands for family, advocates for more, a movement of compassion, ways will soar. Podcast together is a symphony of support, creating life, changing rapport. She's changing the world for you with a heart that's fierce and strong. Empathy's a melody.